Gender is fluid. Gender is a performance. Gender is something that does not have set social categories.
What's your opinion on Trump saying that there's only two genders?
It reeks of Germany in the 1930s, and the way things can very quickly escalate from attacks on one's rights to attacks on one's lives.
How many genders are there?
As many as there are humans in the world.
How many genders are there? Like, how many should we recognize?
Oh God, 1 billion, 1 bajillion.
What is a woman?
Someone who identifies as such.
Hey everyone, it's Savannah. We're out here today in Union Square to celebrate, can you guess what day? Trans Day of Visibility. Did you guys know that it was that day today? That's okay, because neither did I, just until a couple of days ago. We're out here today, I guess, celebrating trans people because they are being wiped from the planet ever since Trump came into office. I've never had a problem visually seeing a trans person, but apparently they are disappearing. I have my own shirt to celebrate Trans Day of Visibility. See what they think. We're gonna interview them today. I recently just got access to Super Chat, so if you wanna leave some support down below, or you can support me via Venmo or PayPal. Thank you so much for your support, and go ahead and click that red subscribe button if you like what you see. Let's go. We're out here to celebrate Trans Day of Visibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love that. So I'm doing some interviews for my independent YouTube channel. Would you guys mind doing a little interview while you're out here?
Yes, I'm not well spoken, but I will for sure.
That's okay. You know a lot about this topic, though. It's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what brings you out here today on Trans Day of Visibility?
I need to represent myself and my community. I don't know, like that's pretty succinct in like what I would say, but a lot of people I go to school with are very ignorant to trans people and to the trans community and to trans issues, even though it's everywhere. And so I find solace in community and the fact that so many people are willing to come out and represent themselves.
What brings you out here?
I'm here to support everybody else, and I'm here for this one. This is my son, and I'm here for him.
Love that.
So
You look like you haven't aged at all, so that's amazing.
yeah, no, it was good. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, if you don't mind me asking, when did you know that you were different and that you were transgender?
Definitely 12. The story is so stupid, but I was really into South Park. And that was kind of like my biggest, which is dumb, it was like my biggest entryway into like left-leaning politics, which is dumb, but like it talked a lot about trans people for some reason. I was like, oh wait, this is kind of sick as hell. So I did more research and I was like, no, that's actually definitely what I am. So thank you, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I guess.
So South Park is why you transitioned?
Okay, I wouldn't say that. Okay, maybe not that. It opened, oh my God, it opened doors, is how I'm choosing to look at it. Oh my God, that's horrible.
I like that framing. That's fucking hilarious.
Kind of. I'm gonna start saying that now. That's so good. Oh my God. Wait, that's really fire. Yeah, sure.
Okay. I would love to interview you two if you'd be open to it.
I would rather not, only because there's a lot of trolls creeping about, so we kind of don't know who's who.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's happened at a lot of marches where there's kind of like trolls coming in from outlets, kind of pretending to be the press. You seem dope. I love your fit.
Thank you.
Like trying to,
Right. Totally your choice. Thanks.
Well, I'm a parent of 2 transgender kids, and as any parent should, I just want to fight for the right for my kids to be happy and be who they are and live themselves without apology. And so I'm out here to support that cause because the right to just be yourself and receive the medical care and health care that you need is being threatened. Gender affirming care is care that helps someone in whatever way they need to get the care that helps them express who they are, who they're in terms of their gender identity.
Okay, so what's examples of that?
Well, example is, when you're assigned at birth one gender and then you feel as you develop through whatever age that you identify with a different gender. And so, like for my own kids, they both transitioned to the opposite gender from what they were assigned at birth. And so they've needed at different stages of their lives different kinds of care, definitely mental health, but also puberty blocking medication, hormonal treatments that help with their transition, getting the right hormones to help their body adjust to what they feel that it should be. It was definitely not something like we told them who they are, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's good. Do you support like the sex changes for minors? Do you think that like if a person is born with a penis that they should be able to transition it to a vagina as a minor?
I mean, I think the most important thing is to like be aware of what the child needs. But I think there are ways to, I mean, I guess having physical changes like changing genitalia is maybe something to do later on down the line, but there are definitely things that you can do hormonally that can help that process, help the person feel more comfortable and more in their body. But it really kind of like the child is part of the process. So
like the irreversible like pills and injections that children can get, you would approve of those?
Irreversible? I am not exactly sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, so like
hormonal treatments are not irreversible. It's a process that's, you know, it takes time. It's gradual. So yeah, I don't see that as irreversible.
Yeah, like so if a young boy was taking estrogen for years and years and years and then tried to get off of them when he was 25, probably not going to go back to the exact, like he's going to have a lot of estrogen in his body, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually know how that works, but that kind of process has worked very well for my kids.
Okay.
But it's not something that you really do until like puberty. So it's not like young children are undergoing these major changes. I think with younger children, prepubescent children, it's more about how they present to the world and how they dress and being accepted for how they want to look.
Okay. So if somebody was born a boy and wants to identify as a woman, what types of things would they wear to make that clear to the world?
What is comfortable for them to wear, like what they feel comfortable wearing.
Yeah. What do you think about Trump putting in that there's only two genders? You think that's really crazy?
He's stupid and wrong. I don't know. That's kind of like the most I can really say about it. Like, of course there's so much to be said about his politics and the way that he is choosing to control the media and the country, but like really it does kind of boil down to he's being stupid and wrong.
How many genders are there? Like how many should we recognize?
Oh God, 1 billion, 1 bajillion. There is just such like a, I don't know, a lot.
Yeah.
So many.
I don't think there's any real need to like assign a number to it. I think a lot of people do like be like, oh, how many genders are there? And I think it's really like however somebody chooses to present. I think that's kind of what you should recognize. It feels very easy. It feels a lot easier than a lot of people make it out to be.
What is a woman?
Someone who identifies as such.
But what is that? Like, there's conservatives say that there's like one identity, one definition. Is there multiple or?
No, conservatives are wrong. It's like a bad take. Gender is fluid. Gender is a performance. Gender is something that does not have set social categories. Women as a term is a lived social experience. So somebody who says that they are a woman and describes themselves as a woman and has the lived social experience of a woman is a woman.
If somebody was confused and they wanted to go up to someone but they weren't sure of what their gender was, how do you say is the appropriate way to address them?
Well, I mean, it doesn't. I don't think that really matters. I mean, I think it's a really easily solved thing. You go up to somebody, call them whatever you want, and if they correct you, then you can use a different term.
And how did your kids know that they were transgender? Like, what signs were there?
Well, how did they know? I think it was just feeling themselves, what made them comfortable and what they didn't feel comfortable with in terms of how people saw them and what they do feel comfortable with.
Okay.
So it's really, I mean, that's one thing that I feel just in awe of their courage to feel who they are and be confident in that, to tell us and to tell the world how they identify.
And what rights do you think specifically are being taken away from trans people today? And when did it start? Was there a big movement, or?
You take this one.
Where do you want to start?
Yeah, where do you want to start?
Well, it's kind of, trans people have always been a part of society and they've always been in the world, but there's this growing movement of bigoted people who want things to stay the same and are fearful of change, and it's this kind of xenophobia that just really doesn't jive with kind of anything about our modern understandings of science or biology or really anything that we have learned in any amount of time on this earth as humans. So I don't know, people want it to stay the same, but it's really they're conservatives, but I think they're regressionalists, really. They want to turn back the clock to not good things.
Do you know that 80% of you that watch my videos are not subscribed? So go ahead and click that red subscribe button right now. Follow my work. If you support my work, if you support me, go ahead and subscribe. Hey,
There's
friends.
no set price. People offer whatever.
I'm
feels
doing some
comfortable.
interviews for my YouTube channel. Would you be down to do an interview? You can also promote your business if you want to. Amazing.
Okay, well, there's lots of cool options.
Capitalism.
There's no set price. People offer whatever feels comfortable, and it helps me support trans people like myself, often by having them crash on my couch.
That's so nice of you.
Yeah, I've actually had queer and trans people crashing on my couch since late December this particular year. It's been hard times for all of us. You know who is crashing our economy? It's hitting the marginalized communities first and foremost. It's disgusting, but we have to be there for each other.
Absolutely.
And especially through the winter, just running an extra heater when someone else is around costs money. And, I want to be able to provide that and never turn someone away or have them be in a more dangerous space. Oh, absolutely.
What brings you out here?
I have a trans son and a gay son, and I work nearby, and I've been a member of PFLAG for about 12 or 13 years, and a member of this and a member of that. So I'm here to be an ally for my own kids and others.
Yeah. How, if I might ask, how did your children know that they were transgender? What sort of signs were there?
Yeah. Well, you see, my trans son is 30. So when he was growing up, we didn't even use the word gender nonconforming or gender fluid. We didn't have that word. And transsexual was still a word. So
Which us and them.
I think it took him a while to know that that was an option for him.
You like that in silver? In silver is good? Okay, great.
He just
Give me a second to
did the
grab
same
one of
things
these
that
out.
his brother did. Growing up, he was identified as a female at birth. So it took him longer than it takes kids now, because we have the language, we have the means, and we have the knowledge.
Yeah. So you knew because your child that was assigned female at birth, that's the language you use, right? was playing like what your son played with, and that's how you knew?
I didn't know for sure. He didn't know either. They were just two little kids doing their thing. And we, if he wanted to wear the clothes his brother wore, well, then he did. Things like that. It wasn't until much later in life that he actually realized what was going on. He thought he was a lesbian for a while, and he actually had girlfriends as a female, and he ended up marrying one of those girlfriends right now. So but he's transitioned about 7 years ago.
That is so brave. That's amazing.
I agree. I think he's one of the bravest people I know in the whole world.
Yeah, you seem like a really proud mother.
Very.
Yeah. How many genders are there?
As many as there are humans in the world. I mean, it's all a spectrum.
Yeah. So what's the proper way to go and talk to someone when you're not really sure what their identity is? How do people approach those people?
I would say my name is, and I use such and such pronouns, and what's your name, and would you like me to use a particular pronoun with you, and that's it. And if sometimes they say, sometimes they don't, but
my gender changed me.
we try not to assume.
Yeah, it's so simple, you guys. Like, why can't we just all do that?
I agree. It's all right. I agree. We're not always what we look like, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like a princess, but I'm not legally a princess.
Well, you could be any given day.
I wish people would just recognize that.
I feel like a princess too some days.
Amazing. Well, thanks for your time. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
You're a small business owner? Yeah, my name is Hannah Simpson. I started on Etsy a shop called Changed Me, CHANGEDME, as in I didn't change my gender changed me. And it was to create visibility items that I didn't see growing up, that I didn't know other people were out there who were queer and trans, especially in the Jewish community, or that you could be an ally. So I said, I'm going to start making things for people to wear proudly and to be really excited about themselves. And, maybe somebody will see that. Maybe somebody will know you're a safe person to confide in. I like to say about my own advocacy that not hiding my past might help somebody else to stop hiding their future.
Wow, that is so brave. I love that. So your shirt, trans eggs. What is a trans egg?
So in the community, the egg is a concept of someone who hasn't quite come out yet and maybe is deeply lying to themselves and to the world around them, but other people see them for who they truly are through all the little cues and indications one can have. And I made this shirt actually just as an indicator that I want to be there for people, because I know that I can make the path a little less daunting, a little less lonely, and a little less unclear than it was for me for somebody else. And I've had the privilege and the pleasure to do that for many, many, many trans people in the decades since I've personally come out. And then with the Etsy shop, I just get to be a fly on the wall of other people affirming their children, their parents, their siblings, their special partners, loved ones, co-workers, the patients in their hospitals, the clients they serve. And it's been just an honor to say, hey, this is how we change the world. It's one life at a time.
When did you know that you were transgender? Was it a certain life event? Was it just a feeling? How did you know?
I blame a friend of mine, Annie. I was 2 years old, sitting in nursery school on the floor, as one does, and she was the only girl in the class that had short hair. And I was looking at her sitting on one of those little 2-year-old desks that they have in 2-year-old nursery school, and I saw her bisected through the desk, top and bottom, where below she was wearing these Mary Jane shoes and above she had short hair. And it was an epiphany to me that the way you looked on one part of yourself may not be the way you are to somewhere else. And that she looked like a boy above the desk, and below the desk was wearing very feminine shoes and a dress. And I said to myself, well, maybe that's sort of how I am too, that people see me as a boy because I have short hair, but there's something else to me. And it took a long while to come out, but I did. Here I am, and I wouldn't change a thing.
What's your opinion on Trump saying that there's only 2 genders?
So this is the kind of religious, or honestly sacrilegious, because I believe that even Christianity sees a bigger and beautiful God, which we're all all created in the image of. And if there's more gender diversity, there's more diversity of God, and that isn't a bad thing, to be able to be amazed by and to learn more of the aspects of the divinity through our own mortal existences that we see in others and ourselves. It reeks of Germany in the 1930s, and the way things can very quickly escalate from attacks on one's rights to attacks on one's lives. And I can be sarcastic about how the fact is I'm going to get to go to camp one of these days, and I'm not going to have to worry about retirement. And that can be cynical and dismissive, but the reality is I feel like my life is very quickly going to become under attack in this country, that I'm going to be erased from public and private existence and then exterminated. And I take that from my Jewish history and also from being an LGBTQ individual, because at the same time that one part of my identity was attacked, the other is too. I'm terrified. Obviously, this is not a president who in any sense of the word is aware of reality in the world, and I just hope we make it through it.
Yeah, so you think we're really close to Nazi Germany?
I think those who don't learn from the past are doomed to repeat it, and I think it should be people like the crowd here and all the other marginalized communities in this country coming together under trans rights and putting their differences aside and saying, oh my gosh, like, we will not let it begin with trans people because it will come to us next.
Amazing. Well, you are so brave. So glad that you're out here. Thank you.
Princess.
Yeah. I love being affirmed. So what brings you out here today?
I just moved here from the South, and I primarily moved here for my transition to get into a safer space. And I saw it on Instagram, and I was like, I don't really have these opportunities in my hometown to do this, and so like this is like where I need to be on a day and at a time like this.
So are you transgender?
Yes, I identify as trans feminine.
Okay, and when did you know that you were transgender?
I think it was when I was younger. I mean, I used to always use clothing expression to express my gender identity, and that was like stripped away from me for so long, being in the Bible Belt. And I think through coming out, I told my mom I liked men, and then I told my mom that I thought I was non-binary, and then I really realized that I really identified with my feminine qualities, and it just made so much sense when I decided to come out.
Okay. And what is non-binary for all the people who might not know that are watching?
I think non-binary can mean a lot of things. I think non-binary is, it's a neutral spot to identify with, gender. I wasn't really too aware of what it really meant for me, and then I later realized that, I wasn't non-binary, I was a trans woman, and I just didn't have the space or the area to come out in.
Now, what do you think about Trump saying that there's only two genders? Do you think he's wrong? And if so, how many genders are there?
I think that it honestly is wrong. Obviously, I think that there's many other genders that people can identify as. I mean, I think that it's not just black and white. There's so many other identities that people identify as. I don't have a counted number of how many genders people can choose to identify as, but I know for me, I don't identify as a cis woman, I identify as a trans woman, and so that doesn't put me in the category of being a cis woman or a cis male,
And what is cis?
Cisgender is the gender you were identified, where you were born with.
Okay.
So I think that, gender dysphoria is real, but it's also just how I identify on a day-to-day basis.
If you were to not know somebody's gender, you saw them in a coffee shop or something, and you wanted to go up to them and talk to them, but you weren't sure what their gender was, how do you approach someone properly?
I think, it just needs to be more normalized with asking people their pronouns. I mean, I'm a trans woman who has short hair, and that puts a more non-passable look on myself, or more masculine look on myself, and so I get misgendered constantly. So I think that, being in a polite way, asking someone hey, what do you identify as, before, I think people need to stop using ma'am and sir when they're trying to address people at coffee shops or restaurants, period, because it just makes it an uncomfortable, makes it uncomfortable. And there might be people that look femme, but they're non-binary, so it's don't assume it before you actually know for sure what it is.
Amazing. Well, you are so brave. Thank you for being out here.
Yes, I'm so
from the
happy to be
South too, and they are very very closed-minded. So.
Tennessee, Memphis.
Oh my gosh, South Carolina. Ooh. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Yeah, so this is Feminist Resist. Yeah,
Instagram.
I live out here. Yeah, look us up. It might have trouble because we're just getting started. So you might have to look us up. Yeah, Feminist Resist.
What do you identify as?
Yeah, so I identify as a woman. Hey everyone, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. We had some absolutely crazy interactions, but everyone was really, really nice. Like when you go undercover and you act like one of them, they're much nicer to you. So I hope you guys like this kind of different style of video where I don't exactly reveal my true opinions. But if you do want to see more of my uncensored opinions, I will be posting those very, very soon on memberships. I just got access to memberships. There's 3 different levels, 3 different tiers, so you can check those out on my YouTube channel. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe. You can always go to my Venmo or my PayPal to donate to me and help me keep coming out here to these crazy events, pay a cameraman, pay security when I need to, or if it's easier, you can just leave a super thanks right below. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys are the reason I'm able to come out here. Hope you enjoyed.